Welcome to Custer Wolfe Building a Watch Company. I'm RT.
And I'm Tyler.
And today we're talking about our new chairs, which will only last one episode because these are way less comfortable, even though they're a little better looking than the other ones. And a ton of manufacturing updates from this guy over here. We had to get new chairs because the other chairs didn't fit. They didn't fit our aesthetic purposes, and they smelled like cigarette smoke.
Multiple complaints.
I have several complaints about these chairs, but I'm glad that they are temporary. We're literally sitting on folding chairs. They're nice folding chairs, but there's padding.
Yeah, I mean, if I were at like a high school graduation, I'd be stoked.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. These feel like graduation chairs. But yeah, we got new chairs. Yeah, in the mail on the truck coming up.
Yeah.
American Furniture Warehouse. Thank you, hooking us up. And I mean, other than getting some new chairs in here and rounding out the studio and our sign, we still have to put up the sign on the outside of the building, which we're working with the city of. Well, we're trying to work with the city of Fort Collins on. I think we're basically moved in. I mean, it's coming together.
Things are feeling pretty good. Yeah, I think my brain can think again now that the clutter is removed. You know, we can walk up the ramp to the machine room without tripping over stuff.
Wow.
But yeah, the sign is kind of a bummer because we were stoked about this giant sign. We made a 7-foot diameter sign that looks really great.
Super awesome.
The front of our building isn't tall enough to accommodate a building of that height or a sign of that height,
right?
According to the city.
Yep. And if we were just back, a few blocks outside of the city limits, it'd be totally fine, and they wouldn't care.
Or 5 years ago, whenever they changed the
Yep.
code, because all of the other buildings have signs of that size at a lower height.
Huh. Also, yeah, new information. Change is hard.
Yeah.
Change is hard. And you're not going to believe this. It is specifically made for us because it's our logo. So it's not like we can give it to someone or repurpose it.
Yeah, and I mean,
it's 7 feet tall.
We're $2,000 into this thing, too. We really like the sign.
We're pretty deep into the sign. So if anyone knows anyone from the city of Fort Collins and wants to help us pull some strings, that'd be awesome. We are pulling every string that we have and trying to be nice and get it figured out. So we'll update you, hopefully, 2 weeks from now on the signage issue.
Hopefully there's a creative solution.
Yeah, we might have to get creative. That's for sure. You have a ton of stuff going on and that you've been working on in the last 2 weeks. Talk to us about mechanical products and the first new modern watch that you're working on.
Yeah, so first things first, getting the new 5-axis machine ready because that's where we're primarily prototyping that product. That has been kind of a battle just to get all of the correct parts in stock. But as we sit here right now, we've got some technicians. We've got all the parts here, and we've got some technicians in the shop hopefully finishing up installation on those. And speaking of the 5-axis, we're getting new software in addition to Fusion 360 so we can not break the machine.
Yep.
This essentially edits the code at a code level for people that are interested and simulates exactly what's going to happen inside the machine. So we had an exact 3D model of the machine made. This software uses that model and actually reads code. So it's super cool. It's called CAMplete. Mm-hmm. But as I was headed into training, they told me we can't use a Mac. So
bummer.
Yeah. Turns out manufacturing likes PCs.
Yep. Every computer in this building is an Apple computer. So that was awkward.
Yeah, and
they kind of laughed at you when you were like,
I was just
just walking in with my MacBook. Here we go.
I mean, that's one of the reasons we like Fusion 360 so much because it works on everything. It's cloud-based. And this is an associated also Autodesk product. So I just assumed, which you can't assume, but assumed that it was going to be fine.
That's what you get for assuming.
And now I'm using a PC laptop. Just came in yesterday or the day before. And I hate it, but it'll run the software. It's a good computer.
Let us know in the comments if you are an Apple person or not, and let's discuss, because we honestly might need some advice around how to even turn it on, to be honest.
I've been just trying to figure out how to do email.
You have Outlook?
Apparently.
Oh my gosh. I have nightmares about Microsoft Outlook.
Yeah.
I can't ever touch that again. Apple's, yeah. We don't even have to talk about it. When you turn them on, they work. That's what happens.
Yeah.
So
I'm pretty used to it. But
anyway,
in positive news, I'm working on designing the dial. Very excited about that.
Yeah.
Not much to show there yet, but Sky has made some good progress on the case, so we may be able to show some footage of that 3D model because it's starting to look cool.
that's awesome. I think the first question that the audience is going to have is what's the diameter of the case? Have you guys made a decision on that?
So I believe we're starting with 42 millimeters, and then we're going to see...
Somebody's triggered. Hit me up. Somebody's going to be like, oh my gosh, that's massive. And then we like
It's a little on the large
this is
side.
46, dude. Come on.
I'm keeping my mind open to 40.
Yeah.
I want to see how it looks first.
40 seems to be like the optimal size that people want right now. A lot of 40 millimeter watches. But also 42 it's 2 millimeters, guys. We'll see. We'll find out. Anywhere in that range, I think.
2 millimeters is a lot in the watch industry.
It's
I get it,
huge.
guys. I get it.
Yep, I get it too. Hey, we hear you. We're listening.
But it's cool. I mean, it's a totally new experience because the movement itself is a lot smaller
Right.
than a pocket watch movement. So there's more wall thickness to play with.
Yeah, the movements are 30 something, like low, right? Maybe 20 not.
Yeah, maybe not even.
They're pretty small.
Right around 30
Yeah.
probably. But
A whole new world.
yeah, there's so much room to do stuff. Like on
room
our
for
current
activities.
watches, everything is just
Watch.
minimized to the thinnest wall thickness as possible, smallest height, everything. So it's nice
Yeah.
to have a little bit of wiggle room.
Well, that's exciting, and you're going to use the DMG machines for a lot of that kind of stuff, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, the
And-
DMU50 is pretty much just sitting there, not set up yet, but once it's set up, it's
Yeah.
going to be sitting there waiting for us to just make these cases. That's the first thing to do.
And we've had
thing to go.
a DMG van in the parking lot for the whole week so far. So
Yep.
how's that going?
Seems like it's going well. There have been some glitches with the Swiss.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
The Swiss Turning Center, our newest baby.
Yeah, and I think my conclusions are definitely that these are the last used machines we're going to buy, even though I still think it was a good decision. But it's definitely a process getting them set up for what we're doing.
Yep. And for those that haven't had to work on a CNC machine or run these before, when you need help, you call the service company, which there's lots of different service company. DMG is doing it. And I don't know if this is normal. And again, like, I really want to learn more about this. But when they send us bills, they don't just charge us for the time that they're here. They charge us for driving here and driving home. And I don't know about the rest of you, but like, that is a pet peeve of mine. Like, that's just part of, I don't know. To me, that's just part of the service.
They don't skimp on the travel cost either.
Yes. There's a whole
I don't know whether they're
line
getting
item
like
on
Panera on the way up here or what. Like, it's expensive.
Yeah. I mean, I-25 sucks,
Yeah.
like, let's be honest. And I would want to be compensated for driving on I-25, but God, just on principle, paying that line item of that invoice is just like, really?
Yeah, so it's frustrating, but normally you work with your distributor to have the service done on your machine because you have a warranty.
Yep.
And they give you a deal on that. These are obviously not warranted anymore because they were used machines.
Yep.
Sky and I, mostly Sky, has been looking into a couple of the companies that may be third parties that we could use instead in case we decide to go another direction. So previously we didn't have options, and now we may have a couple options, which is good.
If you run one of those third parties and you don't charge us for driving here, you might get our business. That's all I'm saying. Military crown. We got a couple. So you guys are working on the military edition for this November. And Sky showed us this a couple days ago. And the crown is different. What'd you guys change about it this year, and why?
Yeah, so the military is fully redesigned this year. We are reflecting all of the cool new stuff we're doing with V3. But this crown is especially a departure from anything that we've made before. It almost looks like a canteen or a cap.
Oh, yeah, I see that.
Trying to kind of mimic just World War II stylings.
Right.
It's got the knurling on the outside. And then, these flutes, I guess you could call them.
Right.
Large, rounded flutes. It feels really grippy. I think it's going to be good for winding, but I think it just looks really, really cool.
It does look really cool. And
all titanium.
Are you going to do another tool like before, like a winding tool?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't quite gotten there yet, but this will be easier than the other ones to
right.
make
I mean,
one.
you just make the negative of this, right?
Yep.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I think there's plenty of to use your word, grippiness on here. And then we talked about, are we etching the logo or our stars and stripes on the end of it, or are we going to try to use our new laser engraver for that? So where do you sit on that decision?
Yeah, so the new laser engraver is not here yet.
I have an update for you on that, by the way.
Well,
if you want to do it live. I talked to Chuck yesterday.
I'm not sure whether I want to or not, but
it's ready to ship. It's all good. It's all good news.
Sweet.
Yep. They just need money.
Cool.
So.
Hopefully we have that.
Yeah, that's my job. So I guess I'll go find more money.
But yeah, we're going to try. So our new laser has a really accurate vision system. So it'll just find the center of things. One thing that's really tough about our current laser is just getting it focused. And this laser can do a lot finer work and actually dig into the material and do shades of grays. So like we might do something pretty cool.
How many shades of gray?
Probably at least 50.
49, maybe? Okay.
I'd say at least 50.
Non sequitur. You're interviewing machinists. There's a bunch of randos walking through the building the last few days. We're interviewing people, bringing people in. It's awesome.
Love to see it.
What have you learned interviewing machinists? This is like a new role for us.
Yeah, a couple good ones, couple bad ones. I don't know what I learned, but I think we may have found our guy.
Sweet.
Yeah, this is going to come out far enough in the future that they're not watching it, but
maybe.
I want to have a discussion with you after this podcast, actually, about what we're going to offer him and all of the above. So
cool.
Hopefully we found our new machinist.
Awesome. Well, there you have it. We are always hiring for watchmakers. We got some love on a comment on one of our past videos. Thank you for sharing your opinion. We love to see that, and we want to keep sharing and all that. And for the record, we are always hiring watchmakers. The world, and especially America, needs more watchmakers. So if you're a watchmaker or you want to go to school to be a watchmaker, hit us up because we need more people like you. The world also needs more machinists. I mean, it's the skilled trades, that we need in manufacturing. So if there's a way we can assist in finding jobs in there, that's great. We just created a machining job. We always have watchmaking positions available. And the next role, I think are you still thinking we'll circle back to like a kind of somebody to help with assembly and logistics and administrative, like around the building?
I think so. I think, we found a watchmaker, and we've got Kent in there now, which he has been absolutely awesome.
Yeah, shout out to Kent making watches on day 2.
Yep.
So a lot of the watches you're seeing as this video comes out are made by our newest watchmaker, Kent.
And he's a trained watchmaker, but I think in the near future we may be interested in having somebody more focused on logistics that can still build watches in that room, because right now Derek and Kent are the only guys that build watches, and they're both really good at it.
Yep.
Derek especially. So we'd like to give him the freedom to just focus on that, because right now he's, packaging movements for watchmakers, inspecting all those movements, just the boring task of putting them in cases and taking them out and all that type of stuff. So
Cool.
Might be an opportunity soon.
So you had some other stuff going on in the machine room. Cool new a cool coolant system, right? That's funny.
Very cool.
Talk to me about
we
that.
set up a an auto mixing unit that we're buying full 55-gallon drums of coolant now, which is like, the big boy version. Before we were just filling up 5-gallon buckets. If anybody's in machining, they know exactly what I'm talking about.
We've made it.
So we've got an auto mixer that draws from a full drum of coolant, and you just walk up to the machine and pull the valve, and coolant is mixed and flowing into the machine.
Wow.
Really nice. But we also just found this cool thing online, like for $200, that'll actually, we can say, because right now you have to babysit the machine, and machines have gauges. This, we can say, we just want 10 gallons, and it'll run until 10 gallons has been poured in there. So that'll be a very cool addition to the system, because it can take 10 minutes, and you're just standing there doing nothing.
Well, and a lot of the stuff we've been talking about is like lean manufacturing, making things more sustainable.
Removing waste.
Yeah. I mean, waste by definition, and then wasted time, especially in the assembly room, when if we can have our two watchmakers just making watches and have someone else come in and help with all of the ancillary items, that's very similar to this. That makes sense to me. That's cool. So you also had to design some new collets to hold things, right?
Basically, when we went to our V3 work holding system, we used these Mighty Bite collets, and the old ones tightened from the top, and you could tighten them down extra hard and it would keep expanding. But our new ones, in order to accommodate our system, are tightened from the side. And I could get really in depth about this, but in any situation, we had a couple of those collets wear out because those side collets just have a cam. So once you tighten it too far, the pressure comes off. Whereas those top fastening collets, you can keep tightening them down. And, with the tolerances that we're working in, having that collet wear in just a little bit made it stop working. So we had to rethink that design a little bit. And we're also rethinking about switching to a whole new system now that we think we've just about maximized this version of what we're doing.
Yep.
And we did some research, and we think we found an even better way to do it. It's just a new style of collet, pre-ground hardened steel. Because right now we have to buy soft collets because we have to modify them and cut them.
Yep.
And as you can imagine, they will wear out. They have a shelf life. But we found, more expensive, but a lot more accurate, pre-ground, perfect collets that have a machinable ring around them that we can machine.
Oh,
so it's kind of two things at once.
The inside is hardened steel, and then the outside is machinable, and so you're machining.
And that's where we can put our locating pins and stuff.
Cool. I follow that. That's awesome. And maybe we can show some images of like the difference there. I see it in my head. That's
I'm definitely going to make a
sense.
video about that, because I think it's a small difference, but I think it's going to make a world of difference.
Yeah. And for those that are interested, the collet, and I'm going to butcher this, so correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the bigger problems when you have a big machine like this and you're working with something really small, and it has to be very precise. When we use the word tolerance, it's like we're splitting hairs. We're getting in there really, really close, and it has to be perfect, or as close to perfect as possible. And there's always an issue of, okay, how do I hold on to this thing? And that's the problem that we're trying to solve.
Yeah, the number one hardest thing in machining is, how the heck do I hold on to this thing?
Yeah.
Like, that is hands down the hardest part.
Especially when you're machining like the entire thing all the way around. There's only so many options on where you attach it.
Yeah, and
to
in
itself.
the example of a watch case, you can, just with your hands, you can bend that thing. It's not like a block of steel that you have trouble manipulating. So if the thing so you do a first operation when you're holding the raw piece of material, but then you need to do a final operation where you're holding the machined part,
right,
and you get rid of the rest of the material.
Yep.
So it's when you flip it over and have to do the opposite side that you need to get technical with your work holding. And if anything's off, it's going to warp the material. And as soon as you undo that collet, it'll warp back to how it was and give you something that's not round or not in spec or, anything.
And speaking of things that aren't right, you've had some issues with the railroad bezels for the railroad edition bezels that you're working on.
Yep.
Something about the dovetail cutter, is that?
Yeah. So those watches have a removable bezel, so you can actuate the lever and set the time on those watches.
Look at you with the big words, actuate. There's a lever you have to pull out for these.
I try. So you can remove the bezel off the watch. The problem is normally our O-ring grooves are square.
Right.
Because that's a lot easier.
Right.
And
you're just cutting a slot.
People aren't taking our watches apart, except for watchmakers.
Right.
So to retain the O-ring, we need to do a dovetail. And a dovetail is kind of shaped like that.
It's like a buzz saw.
Yeah. So it undercuts. And that creates a little pinch. So we actually pop the O-ring in there and it retains it. It won't pop out when you're taking your bezel on and off. But hard to see with the naked eye. It's so small.
I was going to say it's really small.
We're spinning it at 20,000 RPMs in our air spindle.
Yeah.
And
shout out to air
cutting titanium.
Yeah. And what's like, if you picture a buzz saw, or that might not even be the right. It's like a saw on.
I don't even know what a buzz saw is.
It's a saw that buzzes. I don't know. We'll show some pictures, but it's this tiny saw on the end of an even smaller, like, piston, and what's the diameter of the actual cutting tool, like the little saw, the actual dovetail on the end of it.
Yeah, like at its widest point.
Yeah.
I think it's like 0.8 millimeter.
Less than 1 millimeter. So that's like, and when it's spinning.
And the problem is, so it's shaped like that.
Yeah.
And the neck is about that thick.
Right.
So it's in titanium. It dips into this groove, and then it has to undercut the titanium, which when you have an angle like that, it's already putting inconsistent wear and pressure on it because it's at an angle. It's spinning at different speed there than it is there. And then it comes up to this tiny little neck. So, and it's carbide, and carbide is really hard, but it's really brittle. So this was an issue the first time we made the railroad, but currently it's holding us back from making more of these.
We've had several humans of all types, watchmakers, machinists, look at this particular thing that we're trying to do and simply ask the question, why? And we laugh and we say, well, we're preserving American history one watch at a time. These railroad pocket watches are really, really cool. And people send us their family heirlooms, and why not?
And this is the best way I know how to do it. So that's how I'm trying to do it.
Where we're at.
And if anybody has any better ideas, like seriously, let me know.
How do we put an O-ring in something that comes off of the watch so the O-ring doesn't fall out or pop out? And how do we keep that O-ring in there without adhesive? Because the O-ring needs to play and stretch and move. So, yeah, it's fascinating.
I think we have a solution, and I think the solution is a custom form tool just for this specific application.
Cool.
So
sounds expensive, but
shout out to AB Tools for even making these tools.
Yeah, and a lot of the tool manufacturers we'll make you that tool, but like, why?
No, it's not fun for anybody.
It's not fun for anyone. But the customers love them. And I mean, the railroad edition is just so cool. Like it's worth all of the time and effort. 100%.
Agreed.
Okay. So I think, when we get back into watches and like why we're putting all this effort, why you're putting all this effort into making these watches, it's like, okay, now we have to go sell them. And from all the stuff that I've been working on, I should look at the email software, but we're going on 3 years of sending a weekly email newsletter every Tuesday afternoon. And it's been one of the best things we've done. That and watch of the day as a concept, just being consistent with that. Right now we make 6 watches a week, and we send that weekly, we call it the weekly roundup, of the last 6 watches every Tuesday. If you're not on that list, it's vorticwatches.com, and just sign up for the email list. Check that out. And we're going to go from 6 watches a week to 7, meaning we'll have one new one-of-a-kind watch every single day. I'm super stoked about that. We're going to make that change as soon as we can. Now that we have Kent, I think we'll be able to catch up pretty quick. And finally, we've been asked a lot of, hey, these are cool. Like, you're sharing those pictures every day. Can we see some other, video of these watches, and like what makes this watch from yesterday different than the watch that you're posting at noon today? And these are all great questions. So I'm going to sit down with Kyle once a week, and we're going to do like a watch of the week video, like a little roundup, and just like pick our favorite watches from the last 6 or hopefully soon 7. And, get some up close video of them, check them out. Have to use a thesaurus for some of those big boy words of I was talking to Kyle about like, how do we not just say like, this one's awesome, this one's so cool? Like, we got to come up with some other words, but I'm excited about that. And we'll start sharing those videos and those emails every week, and also put them on the Vortic YouTube channel separately from the Custer Wolfe show.
Yeah, I think it's cool because we put a lot of effort into writing descriptions, but that's nothing compared to a video of you or Kyle with the overall knowledge that you have on pocket watches, actually taking a look at them and describing them.
Yeah, and we've been told by so many people, like, even the best pictures by a professional photographer still don't do it justice. Like, you have to see these watches, and so video is the closest we can get besides, sending them to you. But some of these, you just have to see them up close. There's just no other way. It astonishes me every time, because how the hell, we talk about how are we going to make a case? How are we going to cut a dovetail into it? They made those movements 100 years ago with zero of the technology that you're using today.
Yep.
It blows my mind every time I think about it. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Nice work.
Excellent work, Waltham and the people.
Proud of them.
The people at the great American watch companies. That's it for today. I mean, I think we covered a lot. I mean, we got a lot done in the last 2 weeks.
Yep.
We're gonna keep bringing you these videos every couple of weeks, updates, everything that's happening at Vortic, and all the future things that we're working on. And like we said, hit us up in the comments if you want to see something different, if you want to learn about something different. We've gotten a lot of questions about, what is a CNC machine? And so I think that's one of the next videos that you'll work on. A lot of people asking about what does the shop look like now. We did some shop tours before the renovation, so we'll show some of the finished progress there, and just to give you a little note on what's to come. But yeah, that's it for this episode of Custer and Wolfe building a watch company. Thanks for joining us. Make sure you subscribe down below here on YouTube so you can get updates on next episodes. And go to vorticwatches.com and sign up for our email newsletter if you want those weekly updates with these videos, the Watch of the Week videos, and just awesome pictures of cool watches from our Watch of the Day program. We'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
Give me a funny outfit.
I think we gave you several before we started.